film is not for you. 3, 4, Freddy's such a bore. 5, 6, money cannot fix. 7, 8, fans will only hate. 9, 10, never see again.
To a new world of gods and monsters.
I'm having these dreams, and there's this man, and he's burned.
Don't fall asleep.
Never sleep again.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Scarifyer. I am your host, the Gov.
And I'm Quinn.
And remember to follow us at Instagram with Scarifyer_podcast. And what the hell did I do to you?
Don't ask me, ask them.
Oh, my God. What have I done to you besides provide my inquisitive opinions on horror movies? And this is how I'm repaid. Yes, it is the finale of Remake Month here on Scarifyer, and this is how we're going to go out. This is really what we're going to do.
It's one hell of a finale.
Quinn, do you want to tell them what this is?
We had a toss-up between two different films, one of which was 2019's Child's Play remake, and the other, which was the winner almost unanimously, 2010's remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Why?
If you follow this show, if you've been with us for the past few years, you will know that the Gov loves A Nightmare on Elm Street. It is my franchise. In many ways, it was my entry film into the slasher genre, if not the horror genre completely.
As was a lot of
Freddy
people's.
Krueger is my guy. And you finally have me here to talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's the fucking remake?
Why?
But it's only fair because once we start touching on the original, you can scream finally at the beginning.
It's not fair.
Watch,
None of this
watch
is fair.
Gov fall to his knees,
None of
crying
this
hysterically.
Is fair.
It's okay. Do you want to go ahead and give us the background of this lovely, lovely cinema piece of crap?
Producer Brad Fuller explained that they would follow the same tactic from their Friday the 13th remake, and would abandon the things that had made the series less scary. The film's antagonist, Freddy Krueger, would not be cracking jokes, as had become the staple of the character. The focus would be more to make a horrifying movie. In a June 9th, 2009 interview, Wes Craven, who directed the original movie and was not consulted for the remake, expressed displeasure with the new film. In contrast, Robert Englund, who portrayed Freddy throughout the film series, felt it was time for A Nightmare on Elm Street to be remade. Producers Foreman Fuller managed to acquire the screen test of Jackie Earle Haley gave as Rorschach from Watchmen. After viewing it, director Samuel Baer said it blew his mind, and that he knew that Haley would be able to go deep and create a believable character who was a psychopath with burned face and claws. A Nightmare on Elm Street was released April 30th, 2010, making an impressive $117 million on a $35 million budget. Despite this, the movie never moved on to its 2 planned sequels due to negative backlash from critics and fans. It is the only theatrical film Samuel Behr has directed to date, and actress Rooney Mara, who played Nancy, told Vogue magazine that she disliked the experience of making this film so much that it made her question if she wanted to be an actress. There it is.
Okay, well, if I'm glad that she pushed through, because if we didn't have her, we wouldn't have the girl with the dragon tattoo.
So
and she was brilliant in that.
Agreed. So this movie almost robbed us from a brilliant actress. And just with that backstory, okay,
it's a powerful film.
Let's cue our ads. This episode's over. Guys, come on. This film. Mind you, again, I'm such a mark for A Nightmare on Elm Street. I wanted to like this movie just because it was another Freddy movie on the screen. So much so that I fooled myself. I literally convinced myself that this was a good film. So much so that I saw it not once, but twice in theaters.
We call that deep denial.
I was in such denial. I wanted it to be good so bad just because I wanted to see my franchise again. I was lying to myself because this movie's not good. It is awful. It is terrible. And I didn't start waking up until, pun. I didn't start seeing it until I got it on DVD. And yes, I still have it on DVD. Why? I don't know.
I was about to say.
And that's when I said to myself, oh God, this is garbage. This entire thing is garbage. We criticized a couple weeks ago Friday the 13th for just doing a cash-in. We just need the title and we need to make money with Jason. This does it worse because they have the balls to try to retell Wes Craven's story.
How dare you!
I mean, to interject here, I feel like they were trying to go for a scarier film. To me personally, this is me. I didn't think it was scarier. I didn't think it was more frightening. I
understand that approach, and that is something that they did market it. It's no more,
wisecracking.
Yeah, it's no more get your Freddy pajamas at Kmart. It's no more rapping with the Fat Boys. It's no more Doc and Dream Warriors. No pinball machines. It was a return to form. That's what they wanted. They wanted Freddy Krueger to be scary again. He is not a mascot. He is a vicious child predator who kills people in their dreams. I get it. They didn't pull it off, though.
At all.
And it's hard, and this is what we should really examine during this show. It's hard to pinpoint what's wrong with it, because it's definitely not the actor's fault. Certainly not Jackie Earle Haley's fault.
Okay, I'm just going to throw this in here. Mm-hmm. For what he was given, I think he did a very good job. For what he was given to work with.
He had a very tough gig ahead of him.
Well, think about it. You're going against, almost the grandfather of more modern day slashers. How can you follow up that? Seriously, he's an icon. You're trying to step in the footpath of an icon.
And how do you step into the shoes of Robert Englund, especially when you know how iconic he is and how beloved by everyone, the masses, he is?
Can you imagine the pressure, though? If I try to stay away from original form, people are going to be upset because I'm not doing it correctly. But if I try to do the same thing, people are going to get upset because I'm just copying. And I don't want to insult the original and I don't want to insult the fans, but I also want to give them what they're expecting. That's a lot of pressure.
The pressure! The pressure!
All right, so nobody here at Scarifyer envies Jackie Earle Haley.
No,
he had a very daunting task ahead of him. But let's talk about the performance itself. It's Rorschach in a hat. And Rorschach already wears a hat, so...
To a degree, I can understand that. To a degree, No, I think it's just the voice that gets you.
It makes sense that the
So-
director, Samuel Bear, saw the screen test of Watchmen and said, that's the guy. It makes total sense because that's essentially what they got. They got Rorschach in a Freddy Krueger outfit.
So do you think he saw him and was like, I saw you do your Rorschach, do that, but with Freddy?
I don't know if it was that specific. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the choices were Haley's choices himself. He is the actor. I just thought it was way too similar, mostly in the voice, primarily the voice.
Almost like a copycat is what bothers you.
He's doing his growling like he did in Rorschach, and it's obvious. You can draw the comparisons.
I mean, I guess. But one thing that really does bug me about this film is what they do to the Nancy character. Rooney Mara, she did great. Okay, I think she's a phenomenal actress.
Despite being in the film that almost ended her career.
Exactly. But what they did with her character, what they did with Nancy's character, I mean, if you go to the original, Nancy was the girl next door and, she was dating the jock and, all American girl. And this one, she's very almost withdrawn from people. She's very quiet. She keeps to herself, kind of like on the shy side. She's almost like how Part 4's Alice is in the beginning.
It might make you feel better to know that she is not Nancy Thomas. She is Nancy Holbrook. So she's not the same character that Heather Langenkamp plays in the original. It's a different character, and in the production notes, she's described as the loneliest girl in the world. But see, again, and that's the thing that really kind of irks me about this, is because in the original, what made the original brilliant is they were all very Nancy.
That's what made it more scary, is seeing horrible things happen to good people.
And they were totally innocent. Yes, they were rambunctious like teenagers are. They drink, they smoke, they have premarital sex, all the good stuff you see in a horror movie. Yes, they did all that, but they weren't like angst driven. They didn't have damage. They weren't tortured. They were completely innocent, and that's what made Freddy so scary, is that's what he preyed on, is their innocence. And he attacked them in a place that they should be safe, their dreams. And then you have the tropes from the other movie. You have the Nancy-like character, even though they took the first name. She's Nancy-like. You also have the Tina-like character, played by Katie Cassidy as Chris Fowles. You have the Rod Lane-type character, played by Thomas Decker, Jesse Braun. And then, ultimately, I guess you would say, Kyle Gallner is our Johnny Depp? Question mark?
Not even close. Not even close.
And I think the only thing they tried to carry over for him is like he was the jock, even though that wasn't really explored in the original movie. Johnny Depp didn't come off as a jock to me. They just said it and he wore a jersey. Kyle Gallner in this is a swimmer. Cool. But he's also...
It's athletics.
Yeah, but he's also... He's also a junkie, pill popper, you know what I mean?
Oh my God, quit laughing.
I have to, or else I'm going to scream.
There are some saving graces to this movie.
Oh, please, enlighten me.
One thing that I like that they did, I mean, I'm sure everyone who listens to this knows about the original storyline for Nightmare on Elm Street that Wes Craven had, about a child molester and killer, and the studio came in and said, you can't write that, that's way too dark. So he's like, okay, we'll tweak it a little bit, and then we have what it is now. They played with that in this film. You know what? Let's talk about it. Let's discuss how he was a pedophile, and let's explore that. You know, it's a very uncomfortable subject, even to this day. And they were like, let's just go back to the original idea that Wes Craven had. So that is one thing that I like that they did. And then the sleep deprivation.
Yes. All right. So let's talk.
I can't remember the technical term for it, but I love that.
Yes. So let's talk about the first one that you brought up. Yes. In the original Wes Craven script, they had him dial back that he was a pedophile, because that was, I believe, very prominent in the original screenplay. Because you got to remember, this is Last House on the Left Wes Craven at this point. Mm-hmm. So it was there. And I believe Robert Shea made him dial it back. They reinsert it in this, and they flat out tell you that not only is Freddy killing... Actually, does Freddy kill kids in this movie when he's alive? That's a great question.
No, he does not kill children in this.
I think he just has a weird garden tool fetish, and he's obviously molesting children.
That was the difference. In the original, they had him change it to he's a child killer.
He's a straight-up killer.
In this one, he was a pedophile.
Exactly. There was no evidence that when he took them into the boiler room or the basement or the cave, whatever it was, that he was killing them. He was taking pictures. That's proven. And he was scratching them. But killing? No, he wasn't. And it was interesting. It was just an elementary school class. But I'm going to get to that later. But I see what you're saying. It's a great point. It is something from the original that they reinserted and expanded on. The micronaps were cool.
Yeah.
That's what you were talking about.
Yes, micronaps is the theory of you are so exhausted that dreams and reality begin to merge like a hallucination.
Yeah, you're ultimately hallucinating because you're so sleep deprived.
Your body's trying to take a hard reset.
That was cool, and I love the scene in the pharmacy when it intercuts between Nancy's reality and her dream, and it's almost like they're parallel to each other.
Yeah.
And there's Freddy all of a sudden in the aisles going in and out. That was cool. I could understand why they put it in all the trailers. What else you got? Because I'm running out of positives. And I'm ready to go.
I know. Mm-hmm. I know.
So, positives. They recycled the original theme. That was neat. Mm-hmm. That was good to hear a couple times.
I really don't have much. I don't really have much else.
Honestly, my positives are just going to reflect back to, nice Easter egg from the original. Nancy in the bathtub and the claw coming out. Nice callback. Everyone loves that shot. They got the color scheme of the sweater correct.
All right. You know what, Gov? Just
Is it time?
go at it. Just
Is
go
it
at
time?
it. I have my
Okay.
coffee. I'm going to sit back, and I'm going to turn the mic over to you.
But before we dive into that, we feel now is the best time to tell you that Scarifyer are proud supporters of Rue Morgue. Rue Morgue is the world's leading horror and culture and entertainment brand, spearheaded by its multiple award-winning magazine, Rue Morgue and Rue Morgue Digital. But if reading's not your thing, that's okay, because there's Rue Morgue TV, the official YouTube channel, as well as Rue Morgue Cinema, which produced the acclaimed original film, The Last Will and Testament of Rosalind Lee. So head over to ruemorgue.com and subscribe to Rue Morgue magazine for your bi-monthly slice of horror culture and entertainment today. You know what I love?
Go.
A movie called A Nightmare on Elm Street, and 90% of it is not on Elm Street.
I want everyone to know that he is literally tweaking out to the point where his fists are clenched.
Ready.
And they're almost white. So you do you. Go, Gov.
I
Go.
am so ready. This goes back to my original bitch in the 2009 remake of Friday the 13th that we talked about a couple weeks ago. Why would you make a movie that has a very prominent location and take it out of that location? It was less notorious in Friday the 13th because they don't promise you Camp Crystal Lake. Yes, you would love to be at a camp, but it's not promised. As long as there's something called Crystal Lake there, right? Fine, whatever. This location is in the title. It's A Nightmare on Elm Street. And as far as I know, Elm Street is only the street that Nancy lives on. Otherwise, Freddy can get to whoever he wants, wherever he wants. No, bad. That is one of the first rules in the Craven Bible that you broke. It makes no sense now. Why didn't you just call the movie Freddy Krueger or Freddy's #1 hits or Freddy's greatest kills? Freddy Krueger again. Anything. It has nothing to do with Elm Street. So much so that he's only focused on this kindergarten class that, you guessed it, is not on Elm Street. The kindergarten school is not on Elm Street. They have to travel extensively to get to this school to find where Freddy used to reside. Am I wrong here?
I mean, you're not wrong.
Thank you.
One thing I want to get you on is the one scene where I think I can't remember which character he's talking to where you can see the green on his face.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. That's my
and don't forget the glove.
Yeah, no, that's my number 2. You have a tremendous drinking game opportunity with this film, and it's take a shot or drink anytime you spot green paint on Jackie Earle Haley's face, because the filmmakers, in the biggest air quotes I can give, forgot to put the digital effect in, because this was hot after The Dark Knight, and let's be honest, the Two-Face effect on Aaron Eckhart was groundbreaking. It was great that you can utilize CGI effects and practical makeup effects. It was good. When it's done well, it looks awesome. So they tried to do the same thing, and they tried to make Freddy's face more, I guess, hollowed out, like the side of his cheek is completely burned away. Problem, you got to make sure you're consistent with the effect, because there are a handful of shots in this movie where you see fucking green paint smeared on the side of his cheek. It's hilarious.
But wait! There's more!
Now that we're on the subject, Quinn, what do you think of Jackie Earle Haley's Freddy Krueger's appearance in this film?
I'm trying to think of the right word. It almost looks like his face is like paper mache as opposed to burned.
Here's the approach. They wanted it to look like a real burn. They wanted it not to look like...
that's not how real burn victims' face look.
I guess they wanted to go with a more realistic approach instead of the, quote, pizza face that the original had.
But here's the thing. I think that they overdid it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's got to look more real. It's got to look more real. So they kept, like, tacking it on and tacking it on and tacking it on. And that, to me, that just made it even more unrealistic.
The digital effects. Oh my God. Oh my God. Some of the worst CGI I've seen in a long time.
What is your least favorite in this?
CG shot?
Yeah.
Hands down, the wall scene.
Oh, yeah. No, I hated that.
When they try to recreate the infamous Freddy pressing against the wall, trying to invade Nancy's dream. Look, I understand the original movie was cheaply made. I understand that they had like next to no budget, and fishing wire extending Freddy's arms is ridiculous. I get it. But there's a charm to it. You can almost forgive it because of how chintzy it looks. To say that this is a better attempt, or that this is doing it right when it's this CGI mess, it looked so bad. And one of the reasons why Robert Englund advocated for this film is because he wanted to see Freddy Krueger done in the age of CGI effects. Well, be careful what you wish for, Uncle Robert. Look what you got.
I don't know necessarily about CG shots. There is a scene in particular that I do not like.
Which is?
I don't like the Chris death scene, which is supposed to redo the Tina death scene.
Yeah.
I didn't like it at all. She looked like a rag doll. And it felt very stiff and almost like forced, I guess.
It was, I guess it was meant to be more vicious.
It didn't read that way to me.
I mean, instead of being dragged across the ceiling or being dragged across the walls, she's flat out being thrown around against the walls and against the ceiling. I mean, I understand it. And it's one of those, well, it's just a callback. It doesn't have to be taken so seriously. But you know what? These are the stuff that you hang the movie on, and it just lackluster. It doesn't deliver in the end.
The problem with this film is they're trying to make it super realistic. You have to make it hyper realistic, and it comes across way more stiff and way more fake.
But it can't be super realistic because it's a dream. And I think that's another thing that this movie really misses the mark on.
Like maybe they forgot what they were doing?
No.
Like what movie they were making?
I think they tried to take it a little too seriously. They were so set against making Freddy Krueger, quote, scary again, that they tried to instill realism into something that's a dream. What makes the original so terrifying is that the film itself feels like you're in a dream. Even when the characters are awake, you still, the viewer, feels like they're in this weird dream. It's surrealistic. It's this movie. It plays like a standard horror movie for the time, and then this one just happens to have a version of Freddy Krueger in it, and we're doing a weak retelling of Wes Craven's story.
I feel like they were trying to do too much. I feel like they thought that, we have all this technology, advancement on our hands. We can do that, but make it bigger and better and meaner. And
do you think
it took away all the things that, myself as a fan, loved about the original?
Do you think that the filmmaking team knew that they were treading on taboo territory trying to remake this film, that it is so highly regarded, but it was almost a necessity? Hey, we did Texas, we did Amityville, we did Friday, we gotta do Nightmare, right?
I guess, but here's the thing, is this is another really good example of leave the originals alone. Just don't touch them.
And by this point, it was really, remakes were starting to die out in terms of the horror films.
Yeah, this is why.
And this is why I think we got Scream 4 the following year. They tried to make the parents more prominent in this version. We spent a lot of time with Connie Britton's character, who plays Nancy's mother, and we spent a lot of time with Clancy Brown's character, who is also the principal of the high school, which really doesn't make any difference. I don't know why he had to be the principal of the high school. And he's Quentin, i.e. Johnny Depp's character, Glenn. They tried to subvert expectations, and I don't know if it was an attempt to make the audience think that maybe Freddy was innocent. What was up with that?
No, that I hated, because that was the thing, is you always know that when stuff like that happens, it's a bait and switch.
That's what I mean. And
it's one of those things where it's like, you're trying too hard.
Are you really trying to convince everyone here that Freddy Krueger is not the bad guy?
We know he is.
Exactly.
It almost felt like you were calling your audience stupid.
It's different, and I'm sure in the comment section we're going to get a lot of fans. At least they tried something different. But what they tried was dumb, and it didn't work. It failed. It flopped hard.
Really bad.
Like that subplot of, he could have been innocent. He could have just been a weird janitor guy or a gardener guy, and the parents assumed and they burned an innocent man. That we know that's not it. You want to know why we know that's not it? Because they find the fucking dress in the first 10 minutes of this film with, you guessed it, claw marks in it.
Yeah, so
he was guilty. So they didn't even do their job right.
God, it's almost like they decided halfway, what happens if we make it seem like he was innocent? Yeah, let's throw that in there. Shame on you.
Also, don't try to pull the wool over the eyes of horror fans, because they're actually, to quote a very smart man, they're actually very smart film fans. It's just that horror's their favorite, okay? So you're not going to fool them. You're not going to try to outsmart them. If it's pandering and it's dumb, it's pandering and it's dumb. All right, I don't know how much more I can talk about this. So if you want to jump to the rating, let's jump to the rating. I went through a lot in this episode and in the preparation to this episode, so please, Quinn, out of 5, what say you?
Probably give it a 1.
A 1?
Yeah, it's not something that I go to. It's not even something that I would put on for background noise. I feel like they missed the mark a lot. I can't really give this movie a lot of credit, so 1.
I'm going to go with a 1.5.
What?
And I'll tell you what the 0.5 is.
Do tell.
So a 1, and I'll tell you what the 0.5 is in a minute. So 1 for mostly a novel effort on Jackie Earle Haley's part. He tried his best. He had a very tough glass to fill, and he did what he could with it, and he tried his best. And the attempt to make Freddy Krueger scary again was solid. He was less jokey, but he also was less charming in that regard. The The kills and the blood effects that we didn't really get to talk about were good, even though it didn't really amount much more than him just slashing people with his claw. He didn't really do anything that imaginative that Freddy likes to do. And they did respect the source material enough to warrant at least a 1 rating. The 0.5, it is a remake.
Right.
Compared to Friday the 13th, 2009, that is not, in my opinion, a remake, and you can refer to our show on that if you want to hear my opinion on it. This is a remake. They did try to retell Wes Craven's story. They failed miserably.
But they tried.
But they at least attempted to retell the story and tell it in a different way and give it a different vision or a different point of view. The film's faults are glaring, though. They tried and failed at many points, and you can tell that the actors don't have a lot to do. It made Mari almost quit acting. Robert Englund has since retracted his support of remaking this film after watching it. Ouch. So, and again, to go with what you say, you can't even use background noise. You can't even use this film as background noise at the end of the day, because it's vapor. It isn't there. It doesn't do anything.
It's very forgettable.
Very forgettable. And I think, it's been, 11 years now? Mm-hmm. Who talks about it? Except in the negative way.
Right.
I got a lot of people online talk about their sheer hatred for this film, and I can understand why. So to wrap up Remake Month and ending it off with Nightmare on Elm Street 2010, it's a movie that in the end was a nightmare, but not for the reasons it wanted to be. Alright, the Gov is going to tell you real quick how to bring the horror into your own home with a handmade soy wax candle from American Nightmare Candle Company. The scents are inspired by locations iconic to the horror genre, places like the Overlook Hotel, Sleepy Hollow, and Elm Street. Each fragrance combination is carefully curated to transport you into the story, and the catalog is ever evolving. So head over to Etsy or to AmericanNightmareCandles.com and get 10% off when you use the code Scarifyer at checkout. This deal only makes sense, so get your American Nightmare candle today.
Hey there, it's Quinn from Scarifyer. You ever have one of those days where you're out on the lake and the sun's going down, gazing into the eyes of that special someone, and then you realize, I brought my machete, but no hockey mask? Well, if you're in a rush to make a killing, head over to 13X Studios and get your very own custom hockey mask. Mask creator Rick Stizinski takes a hands-on approach to every order to create the perfect mask to your specialized needs. Why would you settle for red triangles when you can shop an assortment of original styles and colors? Rick's clientele includes Nightmare Toys, Kevin Smith, and Kane Hodder. Head online to follow 13X Studio on all social media platforms. Then go over to 13X Studios on Etsy to put in your custom order today. Don't get caught with your mask off while devising your next decapitation. Go to 13xstudios.com.
Scarifyer.